So, between cocoa and tapioca, please,
what's the difference?
What is the difference, and what has it got to do with Easter, please?
Hey, I'm just saying, change your diet.
Change your diet? But he's had cocoa this morning.
Yes, with a dash of honey, as usual. Yeah. What are you having for Easter, by the way? You still owe me oxtail, you say.
Yesterday, I had Free John.
See? She's changed her diet.
No, she didn't change her diet.
She just added it.
Free John is Good Friday fare. So
exactly. So
yeah, there's no change. It was a Good
just
Friday.
Keep it with the tradition, huh?
Yeah, we'll go with the flow, you know.
How many 25-year-olds understand what Free John is?
Well. It's not. Is Free John going out of vogue? A lot of people don't know what Free John is,
exactly.
But Free John is normally what mainly the Catholics eat on Good Friday. And it's a fare of ground beans with coconut milk, some sugar to taste, and some cinnamon. Then you eat it with fish sauce. It can be fresh fish, but I prefer fried fish. And some gari that you have, Ijebu gari that you have dried in the oven so it comes out crisp.
And I can imagine someone in Switzerland watching you right now and saying, gosh, why is this woman doing this to me? Why is she doing this to me? I can't get this thing here in this country.
And guess what? It is tasty.
She's even rubbing it in.
I love my Free John. You can Google it. Freejon. Free John. That's it.
Can we get to the chat, please? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Messages of love and sacrifice. You know, Easter. The Christ will rise tomorrow. What kind of face is that now?
I'm trying to get to the navigation of your pathway.
Yeah, I'm talking about Easter Sunday, which is tomorrow. So what's your problem?
I'm innocent of all charges.
Oh, yes. Minimum capital requirement raised to 500 billion recapitalization. What do you think is going to be happening? There'll be all kinds of...
Well, you know, we had so many banks in before 2005.
Oh, yeah, there were 89 of them or something, yes.
And they came down to less than 30
yes.
as a result.
So we're going to have fewer now.
I didn't say anything. I'm just saying...
We might do.
We definitely will.
Yes.
We definitely will. There are so many banks that may not be functional. I wish... This is crazy. Alero, can we do the same? Can we recapitalize states? Just say.
I'm sure the politicians are throwing daggers at you now because they want more states. They don't care whether a state is viable or not.
Can we just recapitalize states?
Anyone that is not viable, merge.
Because people have actually said it, that there are some states
that are not viable.
That can't pay their salaries
can't.
Unless, you know, they go for allocations
yes.
and all of that. And it is not because they can't. Hey, maybe I'm deviating from what we are supposed to be talking about.
And remember, I said on this program once when the price of oil was falling, that I prayed for the price of oil to fall down. In fact, I was praying for more electric cars and all that so that there'll be less and less demand for oil, so that there'll be no more allocations. Let every state get up and work and look after its expenses.
But there will still be allocation. Ask me why or how.
They will share VAT.
No, not just that.
Okay.
Solid minerals
yes.
is still exclusive to the federal government.
Okay.
So we need to find some way around that one as well. Okay. Such that every state can mine its own stuff and, you know, deliver some to the federal purse so that the federal government has money. But, you know, to the issue of the bank recapitalization thing that you talked about, we need to really review a lot of things, particularly in our financial system. I think one of the reasons given is to boost investor confidence in Nigeria, in our financial institutions. And that is understandable because the kind of things that were going on before needed to change. We have seen the benefits of recapitalizing at the time, but now with the stuff happening all over the world and Nigeria not being an exclusive out of the world country, we just have to do what is needed.
Well, the cat is out of the bag. Now we know how come banks are able to declare those humongous profits that they declare.
It's one thing to declare.
Well, it's another thing to round trip.
It's another thing to have it.
We know what has been happening with the FX and what those banks have been doing. We've heard all of that, and we're all,
Is that official or just
and how come the government is allowing them to continue doing all this and be making all this kind of, that is aside from the fact that they charge you for maintaining a card that's in your pocket, they charge you for sending you SMS, they charge you for this. In other climes, your card just arrives. They don't charge you a penny for it.
It's like someone charging you for having a SIM in your phone.
You don't pay them for maintaining your card either. What are they maintaining?
They maintain the technology that facilitates, that makes your card work.
Oh, they don't abroad?
I don't know. We're a different country. We're a sovereign nation.
Yes, a sovereign. Yeah.
But to that issue, let's just be sure that the concern many people have is, will they have enough time? I don't know if there is one single bank in Nigeria today that has up to that. At least that's at last year or 2 years ago.
There isn't.
So
I think the highest that anybody has is 300 and something billion.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we know of a bank, we know of one or two of them, or three of them that have international authorization. That have banks or that have branches outside of Nigeria. A few of them do have that. So they have to recapitalize. Are they going to merge? I think there was a merger of Sterling Bank with UBA at the time. So some bigs came together, but then some just, in order not to go under, it was swallowed by bigger whales, so to speak. So is the same thing going to happen now? Will jobs be lost?
Well, how much time do they have? They have a 2-year window?
24. Okay, yeah. They have 24 months.
24 months, yes. So we just sit down and, like they say, sit down, look.
No, but what's important and comforting, your money is safe.
Oh, without a doubt. Government has made sure of that, because the last piece of news you want to hear right now is
that something happened.
With all that's happening to you already, with one yam tuber at 4,000 naira, then you now lose money again.
Do you have to bring that in?
Sorry.
Okay.
Just the reality. Okay, you were telling me about the big wigs behind oil theft.
No, it was actually former governor of Bayelsa State, I think, Akeredolu, that was featuring on Inside Sources, hosted by Laulu Akonde, making those comments and saying, it's the big wigs from Lagos and FCT that are behind oil theft, and that it's not just the people in the Niger Delta. I said, okay, so we know them, right?
Please name names, name and shame.
I don't want them to name names. Federal government. Do the needful. Period. Oil is under the exclusive list. It's under the 100% prerogative of the federal government.
National property.
1, 2, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces
is the Minister
of Petroleum. So, dear Mr. President, it was your birthday on, which day was it?
Yesterday?
Was yesterday?
Yesterday.
Happy birthday. Now, can you give us a gift?
Catch some oil, not just name, catch some oil thieves.
Yeah, they are easy to catch. That's the thing. Because they know them. Can you just please give us this birthday gift? Okay, no. You say we don't want party. Just give us that news. It will be, I promise you, we will enjoy the news. In fact, that will be our party. Thank you very much.
We could do that kind of party.
I'm telling you. They say menu.
Okay. Yes.
Tony is shouting in my ears, and I don't like the sound of his
voice. Remember Thursday? The national grid collapsed again. So we're going to be looking at one grid collapse too many. I mean, why must we all be on one grid anyway? Well, we'll be looking at all that later today.
Yeah. And it's Easter tomorrow. What's today, by the way? Today is Saturday. So is it Good Saturday? It was Monday, Thursday, Good Friday?
Holy Saturday.
Holy Saturday.
Yes.
Okay. So the enduring message of Easter is what we'll be looking at after now.
And then we'll look at Nigeria Public Relations Week 2024.
And lifestyle today will be maximizing benefits of fasting.
Yeah, at the end of the fast.
No. This is a lot more than that. Related, but a lot more than that.
Okay. And then we shall close with the Artist of the Week segment, as is usual with us.
Don't ask me who.
You need to stay tuned. So we'll be right back to get the show started. Says it has successfully restored the national power grid following its collapse at 4:28 p.m. on Thursday. The transmission company, in a statement on Friday, said the grid attained full recovery by 9 p.m. on the same day. Nigeria's national power grid collapsed 46 times from 2017 to 2023, the International Energy Agency said in a report. So, why do we go through these grid collapses? And why do they happen so often? Is there any reason why our country insists that we must all be on one grid, so that when that grid collapses, there's no power almost, well, I think JOS has its own power infrastructure. I don't know of anybody else who does in Nigeria. So when that grid collapses, it means that apart from a few pockets nationwide, there is no power anywhere in this country. I don't think we quite realize the danger of being on one power grid. But what do I know? We have experts with us in the studio. We have Abubakar Umar, who's a power sector consultant. Good morning.
Good morning, Obi.
And our old friend, the Professor of Energy and Electricity Law at the University of Lagos, Professor Yemi Oke, joining us via Zoom. And we are also expecting the former editor of Energy Watch, Mr. Monday Ashibogu, to join us at some point this morning. Yes. Let me start with you, Professor. Good morning. Professor, okay, are you there?
I'm here.
Good. Yes, sir.
Good morning.
Yes. A happy Easter to you.
In several times in your video, we've had this conversation several times. We'll continue to have an rate of 10 to 12 grid collapses per annum unless certain things are done in Nigeria.
Professor, is there any reason why we are all on one grid to start with?
One of the issues had contested and contended with for close to 2 decades now is the fact that we can, as a nation, be talking of a federated grid in the 21st century. I also, like jokingly said, national grid is otherwise called National Grid, GREED. And one of the programs to help me amplify it as grid. So talking seriously is one kind of regulatory anomaly we shouldn't have had as a country. But, it has a history behind it. And we shouldn't even be bothered about the history because power started as a kind of intervention. The colonial era from the Jordan and all sorts. But now we are growing and we're growing as a country. We now need to think out with the grid infrastructure. We should now be talking of regional grid structure, state grid structure, decentralized grid structure, and all this we have emphasized. I think steps are being taken now gradually to address those concerns. And it's not something that's going to end anytime soon. Because the reasons why we tend to have these grid collapses have not been seriously addressed. One, energy is something that you cannot stop. When you've been hearing of load rejection by certain discourse, those are economic issues that the economic and regulatory issues that should have been addressed. For instance, if a particular disco is given 300 megawatts, they look at the mathematics because we have already generated additional megawatts selling since we privatized. So we still been managing the poverty of 4,500 megawatts since more than a decade of privatization. So this need to factor in their production costs. But we have not increased generation. So the cost of production is going to be around the insignificant megawatt that we are generating. So for them to maximize gains, they target the homes of people like Antialero in the BGC, Banana Highland, to sell power to.
Well, now we know, at least now you've given us an idea of why some things happen. Only for those, just 1 second, Prof. Only for those.
I'm not trying to bring Antialero here, but people, they will not give to Akeredolu and the support because
the issue now is not even the supply, Prof. I think the issue that we are trying to deal with now is the infrastructure that is powering the electricity in itself. Mr. Omar.
Part of it. The supply is part of it because they reject the loads. Once they reject those loads, they can't store it.
Okay.
It snaps off. Then the grid is dilapidated. Load rejection is part of it. Of course, if you bridge in your homes, if you allow two wires to break, two hard wires to break, it's going to snap off. So when we have overgrown trees by transmission infrastructure, they breach those things and they snap off. There's so many reasons why we tend to have. Talking seriously, rejection is. I didn't listen talking seriously about it.
Okay, well, Mr. Omar, just 1 second, Prof. Mr. Omar is also here with us. This conversation has been on for quite a while, and it's almost become, has it not even become so normal for Nigerians to expect that there will be in fact, as some people say, electricity from the national grid is the backup. And that they prioritize their own sources of power, their solar system, their generators, and all of those things. How significant is this for you?
Yeah, thank you, good morning once again. The issue of the national grid, as you said, has become a new normal. But then, as Prof was saying, the major issue we have on the grid is the supply problem. And there is that clamoring about why are we on centralized, grid? We're supposed to be on a decentralized. But then it's just solving the problem by half. Because the reason why the grid is collapsing is because of the short of supply. They are managing the supply. So what assurance do you have that if you decentralize it, you are going to have a lot of supply? You are still going to have a grid that is collapsing at a decentralized level.
Really?
Yes, that's correct. If you did not solve the structural problem, it will keep collapsing because the supply problem is the reason why the grid is collapsing. We demand more electricity while the generators, the GENCO companies are not able to give us the power that can be able to use. So that's the reason why the grid will collapse.
Okay, if you decentralize, which means not all the power generated is going into a national grid.
Exactly.
You have other avenues of distributing them.
Yes.
Will it still be lost?
Of course, if the demand is higher than the supply. Let me give you, for instance, now.
Demand will always be higher than supply. Come on, until
we're generating 100,000 kilowatts.
How much should we be generating first?
That's the question I think you should ask first time. That's the first question you're supposed to ask. Okay, what is our demand? What's our capacity level?
Okay, what is our demand?
So researchers said that we need at least about 40,000 to sustain us. For the entire country to take up the entire
40,000.
Yes, 40,000. That's as at, I think, last 2 years when I read the report. So now I believe that it will increase.
Okay, let's say 50 now.
Okay, let's say 50. But then the installed capacity we have, based on the report by the Regulatory Commission, we have installed capacity from about 20 to 30 GENCOs of 12,000 megawatts. That's installed capacity. I'm talking about, the capacity. But what is readily available to be given is just like saying your car tank is maybe 100 liters, but then what you are able to fuel is only 30 or 40. That's what we have. We have 12,000 megawatt installed capacity, but what we are able to give out to the nation is around 3,000 to 4,000.
Why is that?
Because of problem of gas constraints. You have problems of, aging of equipment. Some of them are, for 30 years, 40 years, cannot be able to optimally operate at a level that we require.
Okay.
In the hydro aspect, you have a low water level.
Okay.
And then you don't have money to incentivize those people, that's the GENCOs, to fix the system and then to do it. So you realize that we are dealing in a multifaceted problem.
This is sounding like we should just give up.
Aren't the GENCOs fully privatized?
They are not fully. We have, the GENCOs are about, 3 categories. We have the NIPP, National Independent Power Project, and then we have the privatized one, those ones that are, concessionaires, and then we have those IPPs, independent power plants, separately. So some of them, I would say, are privatized, while some are not privatized. The NDPSC is managing those NIPPs, while there are privatized ones, which we know, like Akeredolu.
I think that's another problem altogether.
Another discussion.
Another conversation altogether.
Mr. Ashibogu.
Yeah.
Now, we're talking about decentralizing this thing so we don't have one power grid, which when it collapses means that there's no power collapses anywhere in Nigeria. So he has told us that even if we decentralize, we're still going to have issues.
I agree.
And I am thinking, okay, if we decentralize, Mr. Ashibogu can now generate and distribute, or no, he may not be able to do both. Anyway, he can now look after, let's say, Surulere local government. He's going to have his own infrastructure to do that, isn't he?
Definitely.
What he is going to generate is not going into the national grid. It's going to go from wherever he is through his infrastructure to the consumers. So I don't understand what he's talking about. That even if we decentralize, we're still going to have issues with getting the power to the people.
Okay, it's a hydra-headed problem, as we see. It's not just about just distribution. The whole problem starts from generation to transmission to distribution, and when we're clamoring for decentralization, you are just trying to scale the problems.
Mr. Ashibogu. Now you need to tell us in clear terms what each of these things you have just mentioned means.
Maybe we should, just a second, maybe we should start with, when we say national grid.
Exactly.
At what point is that? Is it the generation? Is it the transmission that collapses? Or is it the discos that collapses when the national grid collapses?
The grid has to do with transmission.
Transmission.
Right.
So it's not the generation.
No, you see, GENCOs there are different types of GENCOs. And electricity is actually a national security asset. And just that we've just toyed around with it for years and just in the dilemma of what to do with it. Any country that is serious about running things well will never leave electricity in the hands of just private individuals to run it. You will have to, it's part of your national security architecture. When you have guaranteed electricity 24/7, it means the system will work. You will have unfettered access to anything you want to do in that country. Now, we designed from the pre-colonial times to colonial times a national grid that works like the UK. The UK runs a centralized system. And for that, they have everything all laid out, cabled even for places that are for future development. So they have these arrangements made. There's nothing wrong in having a national grid. But there's everything wrong in how you operate a national grid. A grid that is operating below capacity, a grid that works with uncertainty, and the system is very notorious for not keeping to any form of agreement. This, you have to look at that from the beginning. You have people who supply you gas, you don't pay. You are not paying. And when you pay, it comes with quarrels. And then so these GENCOs wake up one morning and decide that, look, you've owed me enough. Switch off. The grid collapses. GENCO supplies more than enough. The DISCO says they don't need it because people are not paying. You burn off that energy. But you must pay the GENCO.
Wahala deo.
You must pay the GENCO. I'll give you an instance. There was a time Benin Electricity was very notorious for rejecting supplies.
Why?
They were rejecting supplies. People were suffering under the guise that many were not paid, and the place was largely unmetered. The coverage area were largely unmetered. Now, places that are largely unmetered, that's another challenge you have. You can't account for everything. Crazy bills come up. We're having a quarrel now between Ibadan Electric and University Teaching Hospital, the University College Hospital in Ibadan. 400 million naira. And for crying out for God's sake, how did that amount come to be? 400 million. Who was just so irresponsible to allow this bill pile up? And this was a place where Ibadan Electric claims to have been supplying 20 to 22 hours. And by the time they had this agreement, rather than resolve payment, they acquired more generators. At the moment, they have over 12 high-power generators in that teaching hospital. What kind of irresponsibility is that? And you look at the diesel cost. So when you look at that, the entire gamut of it is, first, you must first learn to keep to agreements. If you keep to agreements, we'll look at the supply capacity.
When you say keep to agreement, between who and who?
Government and operators are notorious for not keeping to agreements.
One second.
When we moved into the commercialization and privatization of the electricity sector.
One second. You know, what you have said now, I mean, you said you began by saying it's a hydra-headed challenge, and
Definitely.
everyone has said the same thing. It's a hydra-headed problem. Yes. But if we are going to take it from the local governments, it's from brass tacks. Common individuals themselves, you just said it now, when they don't pay their bills, the DISCO is compelled to say, I can't take more supply because the one that I have taken, people have not paid for. Professor Oke also mentioned to us the other time that when there is rejection, it goes back to a grid collapse.
Definitely.
So can we now begin to...
it's not difficult to address.
I think, the issue is one thing. Let's understand what is that national grid and the collapse. I think there is a little bit of misconception about what the grid collapse is.
Okay.
Grid collapse actually means that if you generate power, people need to take that power. If you have less,
it cannot be stored.
Exactly, it cannot be stored. So if people have to take that power in comparison to what is available, if there is a shortage of people taking that power, the grid will collapse. And if there is people demanding for that power higher than what is available on the generation pool, the grid will collapse. And that is why I told you that even if you decentralize and you have that imbalance, the grid is going to collapse.
Between demand and supply.
Exactly. In 2016, Germany has generated, high amount of electricity to the extent that the price changed to negative. They want people to take that load. They want people to use the energy. If people do not use that energy, then the grid is going to actually collapse because the demand and supply must balance. So that is what it means by the national grid collapse. So it's not something as if, it's an issue that happened.
Yeah, but it is still, it is no less embarrassing, yes. Mr. Umar. Well, Prof, so here we are now, and can we see a way of, let's begin to talk about, please, no immediate solutions. Can we look long term? Mr. Shiba, we just mentioned now that one of the major challenges we have now is infrastructure. And Mr. Umar has buttressed the same thing, and I think you also spaded it earlier. Infrastructure is moribund. Many decades, without significant monitoring of these things. Now, one of the solutions that I think has been put forward is decentralization, and I think you also mentioned it earlier. Mr. Umar has said, unless some other issues, antecedents, or some other ancillary issues are addressed, the grid collapse is going to be normal because it's not just one issue, it's a lot of things. Already now, the power sector is very, very, in my opinion, very, very cumbersome and complex. I thought we had just one GENCO. I have been educated this morning that we have at least 3 types. The understanding many Nigerians had was that the GENCOs were fully privatized. Now we know they are not fully privatized unless you have a different view. So in all of this, with the proposition of the federal government in the new law, in the amendment to the Constitution, that the states can now generate electricity, you have talked about a regional arrangement. What are the possibilities within the shortest possible time?
Okay, I agree with my colleagues in the House with you there, because we're saying the same thing, but from different angles. Nigerians now should be asking the question. It's going to be almost about a year now, since we've had the new Electricity Act and the amendment to the Constitution, which now enables states to generate power and generate, transmit, generate, transmit, and distribute power in respect of areas covered by both national grid and public. What has been happening at the level of the states? But we should stop looking at the federal government. So nothing has been happening, or nothing yet. But I know the number of activities going on, but nothing on the table yet at the level of the state government. So that's what was asking almost a year since we've had decentralized electricity. Two, the world is going off grid, and we are still burdening ourselves with grid-based generation of distribution. It's like the world is going forward, Nigeria is going forward. That's not going to travel. We should emphasize extensively of grid-based generation transmission, captive, renewables, and heated solarization. It means, what have you? Levels. What is going up? Even if you don't have mini grids, what is going up? You can have mobile grids, mobile power plants, so many options. So that's the story for another day. Meaning options, so national challenges in terms of electricity. We should decentralize. Decentralization does not mean to have fragmented grids. Of course, we should not be talking about a perfected grid for century. I've said that several times. Times can assist them at that position. But now we should be looking at options for upgrade. I blame the federal government also, because this year the transmission component is 100% owned by the federal government. Federal government, perhaps and still, is holding 40% in the discos and gencos. And we have almost 95% combined forces of the discos being technically insolvent. What do we expect them to do? Because government is a major shareholder, and you have a company that's not done well. What have you done? What are you doing about the company? So there's a whole lot of it. But even modern day grid monitoring, there's hardly a country, a serious-minded country that you go, with the aid of digital and high-tech infrastructure. You can monitor your grids. You can monitor your transmission power lines. You can speculate. So we really need to also invest in high-tech digital monitoring of our grid infrastructure. As bad as they are currently, then we need to now focus on going upgrades. Then we should pack up the so-called centralized grid and more decentralized option.
Okay.
Then just take the issue of road rejection and planetary infrastructure and human factors also as to those entities. Then we can start to have some.
Well, clearly it's a very long to-do list. But Mr. Shibogu, operationalizing this new law, this new provision of our laws, that states can now generate their own electricity, is something a number of people have wondered how feasible within the shortest or even medium term. I forgot the name of the man behind geometric power in Abia State, Professor Patinaji, who said, when we asked him, how long should this thing take? He says it shouldn't take anything more than 3 years to set up the kind of thing that is happening in Abia State, and it took him 20 years. So in terms of operationalizing the provision for states to generate their own electricity, in your opinion, what are the hurdles to cross?
Okay, we've looked at first the legal framework, which has now been taken care of. But I keep saying that you don't sometimes have to wait for those legal frameworks to be adjusted to do what you need to do. I've said it in this forum here, in previous programs, that there is no government house in Nigeria that is on the national grid. all government houses are powered independently. They have 24 hours electricity, and some of them power quarters around them.
Since when?
So
just a second.
they're not experiencing what we are experiencing.
No
they don't understand our
government house that is serious would rely solely on distribution of electricity from a disco. There is no government house, I stand to be corrected, that is not independently powered in this country. They've started that. They started with that. This Lagos State did an experiment with hospitals. And at the time they were doing this in partnership with discos. So if you were living around general hospitals, there was the tendency for you to enjoy uninterrupted power supply.
But I think that has been reversed.
Okay, good. They did that. They did that with the water supply plants. So you see, there's no rocket science about it. It could take you 18 months on an average to build a gas power plant. But the question is the gas supply, the politics that goes into gas supply alone can take you 10 years. Jesus. So Batinaji's example is just a clear case study. He had finished that plant a long time ago and needed to expand it. All he had was the challenge of pulling out from Enugu Electric as a cluster. That was another issue that took years. He had the issue of getting his supply for gas. And as we speak, there's no certainty that Batinaji has tackled that problem 100% in terms of gas supply.
But isn't that where the state governments also should be able to come?
See, state governments have no control when it comes to oil and gas. They have absolutely no control, including the oil-producing states. This is just within the purview of the federal government. And I can tell you for free, the challenge has been that in the past, most GENCOs have been notorious for not paying for the supply of gas they've received. Anyone who wants to sell gas to you now would ask himself a very pertinent question. Are you not going to be, you are part of the old stock. So why would I give you gas if you won't pay upfront?
But you also said now that we, the people, are also responsible. Energy theft.
Listen, how many industries do you have in a particular place? You look at the commercial notes of power generation, it's a business. As much as it's a social service, it's also a business. Someone incurred debts in thousands and millions of dollars to acquire these machines. He will pay. And it is from the tariff that has been given that he will pay. Nigerians don't have a challenge with tariffs in most cases. They have the challenge with high tariffs and no supply.
Yeah. Well, I think you may need to speak with Mr. Babatunde Fashola, who spoke at a press conference, I don't know if you remember, that sometimes we have a problem of energy theft, electricity theft, that our people also are responsible for, some of these.
But that's accounts for
the three of you have also established the fact that too much supply, grid will collapse. Yeah. Too little supply, grid will collapse. Yeah. So now we are in the middle of nowhere. Really.
Yeah,
where is the middle road?
The issue is that on that non-payment, it's actually a liquidity challenge in the industry. And when he says that the GENCOs are notorious about non-paying, I was thinking, actually, the GENCOs are not actually sometimes in charge of the payment. How liquidity works is if you as a customer, you paid 100 naira worth of energy, the discos will collect your 100 naira. Probably they will take 60 naira and give to the GENCOs through the embeds. Then the GENCOs actually, they will remove their OPEX, maybe let's say 10 naira, and take 50 naira and give to the gas suppliers. So that is how it works. So the problem will emanate that if your cost of power is 100, instead of you to pay 100, you are now paying 50 naira. Now the disco will say, okay, we have operational cost to pay. They will now take maybe 10 naira. They give the GENCOs 40 naira. GENCOs also has operational cost to take. They now remit 30. Now the gas suppliers are expecting 70 naira and you are giving them 30. Do you understand? So the problem of liquidity comes from what? From the consumers. But the challenge, the other side of it is that there are two things. Is it chicken or the egg? Which one comes first? The customers are saying, supply me before I pay you. You are not supplying me, how will I pay? You are correct. The discourse are saying that you are not paying. How can we improve the supply? which one are we going to fix first?
But which is why he spoke about metering.
Exactly. Metering is costly now. Metering is, if you look at the economics behind metering, is number one, is costly, it takes time, and there are a lot of, unnecessary costs to it, monitoring and other
But if you don't do it, you will not get your money. So you have to do it.
Exactly. So which brought the question, I said, which one comes first? Do you invest? As a businessman, if you got into an environment, you need to invest. We all agree to that.
Yes.
But then what happens if you do little investment and you realize that people are actually bypassing the process? Will you be incentivized to increase your investment in that sector?
Then you must now create some kind of system that cannot be bypassed.
Exactly.
Which is the reason why nowadays I see that meters are put up.
Upstream meters.
They're on near heaven. So you really have to be desperate to climb on those things to go and start fiddling with your meter.
If I ask you one thing, do you remember when Abuja Electricity released their list of debtors, the government agencies only?
It was mainly government.
Yeah, it was mainly government. And do you see how a lot of serious agencies are unable to pay their bills?
Huge bills.
Let's say that it's 47 billion. Let's say 50% of it is maybe 23 or something.
Billion.
If they will pay that amount,
it will help.
But why is the government not paying their bills?
It will help. Now,
you expect citizens are saying, if Ministry of Power is owing, why will I pay?
Why will I pay? Now, Professor, we're talking mainly about gas. Is it because gas is the cheapest way to generate electricity? What happened to hydro, and what other means are there that can generate electricity?
Especially these days when it's so sunny and so hot.
There are a number of options, actually. But gas is key. And as one of the guests mentioned, that gas is central. Because the discos and gencos don't control gas supply. And even under the Petroleum Industry Act 2021, where we have domestic gas obligation written into the laws, meaning the gas producers must, designate a certain component of their products for domestic consumption. That's difficult to comply with because gas is an international commodity, it's bought and sold in advance. And you expect them to sell gas is a product that sells at international rate. So if they're going to sell or just give gas for domestic consumption in line with their domestic gas obligation, they're going to be at a loss. And no serious-minded business business person will want to do that. So we have that challenge because it's difficult for them to comply with their basic gas obligation, which will have enabled the power sector to thrive better. But then we have over the huge subsidies in the power sector, which you also mentioned, because the obligation as to payment for gas supply for the purpose of GenCos is at the level of MBED. MBED is kind of a stopgap arrangement that enables GenCos to produce, of course, pay for gas, and the shortfalls of course the government is around that. As Nigeria is broke,
Professor, I beg your pardon. Are you insinuating that the gas used internally, as in the gas used by our generating companies, is sold to them in dollars?
Let me explain this. Even in your studios, I said gas is an international commodity. For instance, if it takes $400 to $750 of gas internationally, there is huge demand for gas internationally. And because you are telling them to also make gas available for domestic consumption, you are telling them to now sell their gas at $200 as against internationally competitive prices of $400. Would they listen to you? Because for them to produce the gas is hugely expensive, and there's a huge international market there. So even it's whatever gas they produce is bought and sold in the international market. And now to force them to comply with their domestic gas obligation is difficult because they are selling gas GenCos at the loss. And that's the truth. Not when we go into the challenges of the power sector, it's huge. I was in a training with the Kaduna and Kano Disco. They were also voicing their concerns. They supply electricity to certain neighborhoods, which I'm not going to mention. And they needed to go and take appropriate reading of the meters there. I don't know, I'm not an outsider, so I was hearing Bashiga thing for the first time. Then I said when they get to the neighborhood, they say Bashiga, meaning they cannot enter. So if they can't enter the neighborhood, how would they take appropriate reading? So there's good meter bypass going on there. Industry bypass, big men bypass meters. And this, there was a scenario of a particular community where they have about 15 fast. And they were saying like 10 of them bypass already. So only 5 are in. And the cost, the megawatt that is distributed in that neighborhood is being spread on the 5 royal percentage users, because others have bypassed. So there's a huge problem of bypass, which are human issues causing some of the problems. Government agencies are also going this. So the power sector is a mess, and I'm blaming it on the regulator. So if you have a sector that is not thriving, if you are the one regulating geckos, and most of them are technically insolvent, if you have laws that are not being complied with, those are not issues of the federal government. Those are governance regulatory issues. And even the operators are even complaining that they blame it on the regulator.
You know, Prof, anyway, let me come back to the studio. Mr. Ashibogu, so are we saying that every time the grid collapse happens, it is Nigerians that caused it? And I'm not talking about Nigerians as government officials. I'm talking about Nigerians who use the electricity.
Well, it's not operating. The grid is not in isolation. It's meant for Nigerians to be consumed by Nigerians. And so Nigerians don't get enough, it collapses. They get over, it collapses. So what are you talking about? The answer is very simple. Maybe you just ask a rhetorical question. But the fact remains that, I mean, come on. You don't give enough, it will collapse. You give more than enough, it will collapse.
So
all you need to do.
What can they now do to prevent it from collapsing?
Well, there are a lot of things we can do, but you see, we like to play.
I'm not over this yet.
I mean, come on. You know, it's.
You use enough, collapse. You don't use enough, collapse.
No, if you use enough, I think it remains steady. But if you don't use enough, it will collapse. If you get more than enough, it will also collapse. So the thing is, how do you know when it's enough? Because you are talking about installed capacity from 26 on-grid, right? We have 26 on-grid gencos. 26 gencos are linked to the national grid.
Okay.
Right? 26 of them are linked to the national grid. The government is a major stakeholder, owning 40% in all gencos that have history from the old NEPA.
Okay.
The same applies to discos. TCN is owned 100% by the federal government. Now, you have these organizations, and then you still have government ministries, departments, and agencies owing in billions of naira for bills that they have refused to pay.
Okay.
Now, you can't even get the police to arrest me now for owing because they are owing. You can't tell, I don't, if any policeman comes to arrest me, I will tell him, you are owing. You have no moral obligation as a ministry, department, or agency to Nigerians when you, as the government, is having a larger chunk of the debt. It makes joke of the whole thing.
You are owing yourself.
Good. And that will make matters worse. I recall when Sam Amadi was in NEC. The federal government went to the World Bank for interventions into metering in this country. We are aware of the commitment of the World Bank in millions of dollars to the national metering program. The part of government to meet with that obligation has not been done. That's what we have as a problem. So it's just easy for you to say millions of dollars have been pulled into a particular sector and then you see nothing going on. And then I also ask ourselves, are we really sincere towards solving this problem? Okay. Because you need to look at that.
Yeah.
Mr. Omar.
Yes.
We have to start winding down.
Yeah. Okay. I wanted to ask about the Siemens arrangement. Is it a joke? Because, I mean, the former president went to Germany and that was one of the conversations that they had. We're not supposed to be having this problem. We're just do that in 30 seconds and then we can take last words.
Yeah, you know, I think the Siemens is moving, albeit not faster than we anticipate. If you are following TCN, you will realize they have been installing some 100 MVA, 60 MVA transformers, which are some product of the Siemens deal. You know, it's PPI, Presidential Power Initiative. So they have been trying in doing that. It's just, you know, sometimes the information or the publicity might not actually be enough, but it's moving on gradually. And then, you know, the problem, if we are discussing power sector, we will spend from now to, you know, evening, we will not finish it. But then when we look at the solution and how, as you're talking about the grid issues, you know, to make it up, let's say TCN have actually tried in 2022, I will say they spent 353 days without, you know, grid collapse. They have been able to balance it. You know, you are complaining this morning we don't have light. If they take off the lights, it's part of the process to balance the grid. That is the reality.
No, wait, slow down. No, I didn't hear that.
We need to take the last
No,
word.
what he said just now.
No, I need to clarify, yes, so that he will understand.
That when they take light,
Yes.
when there is power outage,
Yes.
it's to balance light.
Yeah, it's part of the process to balance.
So if they don't take light,
No, I'm saying,
grid
I said
will-
it's part,
if
which
they don't
means
take
there
light,
might
grid
be,
will
you know,
collapse.
there might be faults. Fault might happen.
But recall when Bat Naji, the same Bat Naji, was Minister of Power.
Yes.
We went through periods where we had minimal power outages.
Yes.
What magic was he doing at that time?
You know, so many.
Because the power was coming from this same grid we're talking about.
Exactly. But if you look at that time, you know, our consumption with now, it's a bit different. When you look at the data, you realize that at that time, even though we don't have enough, but the way we are consuming is a bit different from now. So the issues are much. I believe we can be able to resolve that. But the issue of solving grid collapse, I believe we can do that, but we are going to feel it. Because it all goes down to money.
Okay. We need to take your last words now. Professor, let me start with you, sir. Your last words. What is there to look forward to? Is there any hope for us where power is concerned? And we all need power. 30 seconds.
Well, let me just talk about the fact that I'm not as optimistic as to the Siemens thing, that he has the best of representing Abaka for side. The same thing, the motor thing happened, just about my contract. So we see going forward and backward at the same time. But then I've said we need to go for another round of the acquisition and financing, both of the Gencos and Discos, before we get to it. And I said that 50 years ago, I still stand by it. I was both efforts.
Mr. Ashibagu.
Well, I share Professor's thoughts in that I'm not optimistic about some of this. I think the way to go is look at this clusters.
When must you all dampen our enthusiasm like this?
Well, it's okay for you to be enthusiastic, but it's also not okay for you to be hopeful about something that won't happen.
You know. They say if you know a problem, you will not be that optimistic than somebody who doesn't know. So if you know the problem of the sector, you will have to take some reservation. I believe that our power sector problem will solve the day we realize that the electricity industry is actually not a social good. I believe this is the time that we'll begin to take direction.
And that is something that comes with us from our colonial days, where we thought, oh, utilities and stuff are supposed to be free. Government should give us free power, give us free water.
So when we begin the conversation that is actually, you know, an expensive commodity, but then do we have the earning capacity?
Don't answer that question.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. We were discussing the matter of the grid collapse with Mr. Monday Ashibagu, former editor, Energy Watch, who was with us in the studio, as well as Abubakar Umar, a power sector consultant, and also with Professor of Energy, Electricity Law, University of Lagos, Professor Yemi Oke, who joined us virtually. Thank you all, gentlemen, for coming to share your insight with us this morning.
Thank you.
Happy Easter to you all.
Happy Easter.
Thank you.
Sunrise will return in just a moment with another interesting conversation. Do stay with us.
We are passionate about two things in Nigeria. The first is football. The second is our rice. And nobody celebrates like a Nigerian. So, for every goal scored, every mark made, you can be sure to always come back home to rice. Celebrate with Nigerian Premium Big Bowl Rice. Homegrown just like you. Big Bowl Rice. Tasty rice. Nourished you.
Imagine lovely meals you can cook with these ingredients. You spend heavily, but no guarantee of a tasty meal. Not making a right choice of seasoning cube can ruin your meal, money, and confidence. For a tasty meal, do not compromise. Choose Gold.
Use Terra Gold for the rich, consistent taste your loved ones crave for. Good for soups, stews, and jollof. Terra Gold. One cube, endless possibilities.
Thanks for calling Bastion HMO.
Thank you. Now that was my health insurance partner. Yeah, I was just as skeptical as you were about health insurance until I tried Bastion HMO. I got a healthcare plan that's right for me and my family. I have access to top quality healthcare services and facilities. We also get access to over 1,700 hospitals and clinics. Call 0800 Bastion, Bastion Health, the HMO that puts you in control.
The Duchess International Hospital caters to every aspect of the family's health needs. A one-stop shop for maternity and child health services, emergency medicine and critical care, medical and surgical subspecialties, dental and eye care, and a range of other subspecialties and services, all available at a single location right here in the heart of Ikeja. And it really doesn't matter if you're paying out of pocket using your HMO or private insurance. We focus completely on providing that world-class affordable healthcare for all the family at all times.
Glory.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Hello? Where Glo now?
I did hear.
No, Glo, don't go village. Tell our customer.
Everybody pay attention. See, now Glo berekete 10x. Now he might take tension my customers. Now they dash me 10 times the credits when I load. Or even summer me double data join.
Yeah. Wait, so with 1.5 they give on the boss, so you they enjoy up to
15,000 naira credit and data. And I say I never finish you. See, when I say if we enjoy, if we not join Global Berekete 10x, when I go get 1,000 naira welcome credits. Finish.
Glo, you don't win.
Una see there here.
Hello, please, I'm looking for Glo. Please save now Glo with the fine. Now Glo with the go.
Okay, so
enjoy 10 times the value of your recharge on Glo Berekete 10x. You also get 1,000 naira for calls and data and double data bonus on your subscription.
Thank you for staying with us. Well, Christians all over the world are celebrating Easter in commemoration of the resurrection of Jesus Christ from the dead. I saw a video earlier this morning of a WhatsApp group. It's a group. Title of the group, Jesus and the 12
Thanks
disciples.
for calling Bastion HMO.
Thank you.
That was the title. And then they had an animated conversation at the time that Jesus Christ was arrested. And one of them that was just angry was Jude. Just angry. And they now said, that Judas left the group. Judas was like, what nonsense, foolish guy. He said, calm down now, you don't even know what happened. I don't care what happened. Can you imagine? Only 30K. Collected only 30 and they wrote 30K. Only 30K. Oh, God.
But as they say, it is written.
But then, and one thing that is endless about the conversation about the Easter is its message. Easter continues to prove to be one opportunity to interrogate the killings, the maiming, the banditry, and other forms of bloodletting while working for solutions to the challenges they present. Let's have this conversation this morning with two clergymen. The Right Reverend Akeredolu Okupevi is here with us in the studio. He's the Diocesan Bishop of Lagos, Church of Nigeria Anglican Communion. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, man.
We also have with us Pastor Matthew Ashimolo, who is the Global President and Senior Pastor, Kingsway International Christian Center, KICC. Thanks for joining us this morning, Pastor.
Thank you very much. A privilege. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Let's begin with you, Right Reverend Okupevi. Christians are in government. As governors, as ministers, as commissioners, as legislators all over the country, as local government executives and all. Is it that we forget the message of Easter for 360 days and remember only for about 5 days of the year?
Thank you so much, sir. And ma, the message of Easter is a message of hope, is a message of life, is a message of peace. And when we look at what is happening in our country, we need to pray more. Yes, we have Christians heading us, leading us, directing us. Not that they do not have what it takes to lead well or direct well, but at times, the politics of the day, and at times people around will talk to them, we have to do this, this is how we have been doing it, this is how we have been doing it, and we must continue. So those are the things that are affecting Christian politicians, and many will want to do it the way they have been doing it, and at the end of the day, they go into doing it the way they have been doing it and not the way God wants it to be done.
You know, it's amazing, Reverend, that you put it that way, because so I'm going to direct the question from your response to Pastor Shimolo. What the Reverend has said now, there are those who would wonder, how come it doesn't affect them the same way in accounting, in engineering, in other fields of endeavor, in law? They can't bend the books and go scot-free in most cases. Once you break the law, you do the time. So in that context, and I'm sure you heard the Right Reverend speak, how do you respond to this parallel that I'm trying to draw, Pastor Ashimolo?
Well, thank you for the opportunity to speak on leadership. I think the challenge of leadership in Africa, in Nigeria, is sometimes premised on the fact that maybe leadership has not been clearly defined back to our people, so that when you understand and have the scope of what leadership is, you will then know, am I a leader or am I just in front of people? Because leadership, first of all, the indices of leadership start with accountability. At least from a church context, leadership has to do with empathy and emotional intelligence. Leadership has to do with accountability, vision, and strategic thinking. A good number of people who are in leadership in Africa, in Nigeria in particular, with all due respect, are what I would call village leaders. Why do I call them village leaders? It's characteristic of leaders in Nigeria, from local government to the highest point, to immediately surround themselves with people who come from their region. To immediately surround themselves with people who come from the place of their immediate calling.
Well, Pastor, if you heard the Reverend, he said that in most cases they are surrounded. In other words, there's a possibility that sometimes when they get into office, there are already people in the system who are supposed to provide some kind of guidance. The civil service, for instance, is always there, who, by the way, some of them may also be Christians, if I dare say. And so those are the people that he's talking about, that there are some things, sometimes they are surrounded by politics, they can't just circumvent. Do you agree?
Can I digress again still and say the challenge is not the people who are in the system because the Christian leader got there. It is the fact that the system is broken. If you go into every part of the Nigerian polity, if you go into the areas of governance, you find that there are documents. We have perfectly copied all the documents required for leadership from every part of the world. Westminster style of parliamentary procedure, American style of parliamentary procedure. But you see, the system is broken. So even if the person wants to be a good Christian, he will still be like a pilot, a fantastic, awesome pilot, given a broken plane to fly. It will be impossible. So the challenge we have is we have a leadership issue, we have a system problem. Until the system, and both work at a pari passu. If you don't fix the system, the leadership will fail. If you fix the leadership and you don't, if you fix the system and the leadership is not fixed, there will be limitation. However, if the system is very good, the leadership almost is insignificant. I live in the United Kingdom, and it is interesting to notice that the UK have not had civil war in 1,000 years. Why? Because they created a robust system which made it impossible for anyone, any prime minister, to be the one to weaken the nation. So whether you know how to govern or you don't know how to govern, the system is bigger than you. The same thing with America. So when you look at the United States of America, the system is bigger than the presidency. So when they put a farmer, Jimmy Carter, it ran well. When they put an actor, Hollywood, it ran well. When they put a pilot, it ran well. The only time America had issue was when one man came and thought he was bigger than the system. Nigeria, Christian, Muslim, animist. If the system is not fixed, the leadership will continue to fail. So if you now wonder, how come the Christian gets there, he finds this problem. Suppose he gets there and he finds that they threaten his life. I mean, I saw yesterday, and I was so touched, the man who was brought from the United States to be part of the HMO system, and finds that he decides he can't continue here. He wants to maintain his integrity. He said he plays a colossal place of corruption. So the system is broken. Okay. And some people actually... Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Reverend, this matter of Christians being in position, often when you all pray, you say that being a Christian is being Christ-like. Yes. So it's not about what you say, it's about what you do. So let us see from your actions that you are a Christian. Like he mentioned, there are Christians in high places in Nigeria. Are you seeing Christ-like behavior of these leaders that we have?
Yes.
By and large.
Thank you very, very much.
To qualify that.
Being a Christian is to be a little Christ. Being a Christian, you must be somebody that is above board. Being a Christian, you must be selfless. Being a Christian, you must be accountable to actions. And being a Christian, you must be regenerated. A regenerated soul will dare to be different. A regenerated soul will do it right. So that's why we are calling on our Christian leaders. It doesn't matter the system. You can still do it right. You can still do it better.
So you are not seeing enough Christ-like behavior from them?
That is certain.
Bishop, let's draw a parallel. You said every Christian is a little Christ. So let's go to the example of Christ. I argued, I think it was yesterday, that when Jesus came into the world, he didn't address government. He hardly spoke to the head of state because it was a colonial era. And he didn't talk about everything that was wrong with the system. The laws were not wrong, they were not right, the roads were not built. No. He went directly for the people, trying to re-engineer the minds of the people. Social activism, so to speak. Addressing the direct leaders of the people in the quote-unquote local governments. He was addressing the Pharisees and Sadducees. He was addressing the people themselves to change their ways. Now, who should be the little Christs now doing that? Because it will seem, what you're also saying now, that it's like the little Christs themselves have, in a way, turned themselves into Pharisees and Sadducees.
Thank you very much, sir. Every Christian is expected to behave like Christ. We have the Bible, which is our manual. And every day we have devotionals. And we believe that they are going through all these devotionals every day. And at the same time, they go to church on Sundays or go to Bible study or prayer meeting. So what we are now saying is that they should practice what they have been taught. They should practice what they have been taught. Even during the time of Jesus Christ, he brought people that were not Christian together. And like Judas Iscariot, who betrayed him, can we say he did not have enough teaching of Christ? Like Peter, a fisherman, and we call Peter ho grammata idiota, somebody that is not learned. He denied Jesus Christ, but after everything, he did it right. So, all Christians must be able to do it right and follow their master. Their master is perfect. That's the perfect Messiah, the one that has been sent to save us from sin, from worldly powers, from satanic powers. And at the same time, if God has done this for us through Jesus Christ, our Christian leaders should do it right, and everybody, not only Christians, every one of us must do it right, because in every religion we have the aspect of morality, etiquette, and spirituality.
Let me ask the Pastor Ashimolo the same question in a different way. Today is Holy Saturday. Yesterday was Good Friday. Thursday was Monday, Thursday. And you know, there are those who would, using the same parallel of Jesus being a social activist, so to speak, I don't know if you agree, he didn't address the government. The government found him guiltless, but the government killed him anyway. So the good guy got killed for being too good, so to speak. And there are those who are, you know, all over the place now trying to be the best Christians that they can be. They are not famous for it. And they are expected to represent Christ when they get into leadership. But then the system, as you said, seems to have a way of squeezing them almost to death, like Jesus Christ was killed by the system, so to speak. How do we move forward from there? What's the challenge for the Christian, and how does he navigate?
I think the first thing is for us to even define who the Christian is. And my good brother, the bishop, have clearly defined that, because many people take church attendance for being a Christian, or into a Christian home for being a Christian. You've got to first have a Christ-like life and then have a transformation, not reformation. In other words, you should be bigger than your Yoruba form, your African form, your Hausa Igbo form. Part of our challenge is that we get born again, but there is no transform. We are not bigger than the form. So you need to be transformed. Number two, you need to realize that Christianity is not a religion. It's not. It's a lifestyle. You've got to realize, therefore, that when you get born again, when you become a child of God, it is supposed to follow you everywhere you go. So it is when you separate it as a religion that you think, let me leave religion at church and do what I like at work. So Christians need to realize I am held accountable as a believer. Where I serve, I am a representative of Christ. So Christians should be part of the fixing of the system and the changing of the system. They should also speak out. All due respect to the moderator, Jesus actually spoke to the politicians. The Pharisees are not a religious sect alone. They are the Senate. They are the Sanhedrin. So the Pharisees are actually a legal body. They say you have to be, once you are a Pharisee, you are automatically a distinguished member of the Jewish Senate. So Jesus addressed the politicians, he addressed the people in power. The challenge of his time was that he came at a time when Israel was a mixture of what you might call monarchy and theocracy, the rulership of God and the rulership of kings. Yet he addressed the politicians. So number one, Christians should realize the Christian life cannot be put aside. It's a whole lifestyle. We need to be transformed. And when we are transformed from the inside out, then we begin to influence where we are. Lastly, you are a Christian, you find your place in places of responsibility. You need to represent Christ, and therefore you need to act as a person who is doing it as if Jesus were there. Somebody came up with a slogan, WWJD, what will Jesus do? So they brought a bag of money to you. Please don't say a rat ate it. Ask yourself, what will Jesus do? Until start from tiny microcosms to create a macro change that will be no. So the Christian needs to bring his transformed life into the polity of the nation.
Pastor Shimola, well, that actually dovetails into the next question I'm about to ask you. I haven't recovered from don't say rats ate it. How can the message of Easter inspire change in the world?
The first thing we need to realize is that, number one, Jesus didn't have to come, but he was the only man who was born that he may die. And why would he have to die? He died for other people. Scarcely can you die for a righteous man, but he died for sinners. So part of change to realize that the message of Easter is to realize that Jesus came that we might experience being reconciled back to God. Man fell in Adam. The last Adam came, Jesus, to reconcile us to God. That's the first message of Easter. The second message of Easter, particularly for Nigeria in 2024, is the last of the 7 statements of Jesus on the cross, when he said, Tetel estai, it is finished. Tetel estai, it is finished. Therefore, for us in Nigeria, no matter what you go through, as a 72-year-old Nigerian, I can say, battles will be finished, challenges will be finished, there will be change. And one day we'll look back again and say, how did we survive all that imbroglio about currency change, increase in Tetel estai, it is finished.
Well, Bishop, sir, people are going to resume to work on Tuesday. I would like us to try to paint a scenario. Maybe I should first of all begin. Christians have conflict among themselves. And I dare say that a few of those conflicts have come to you. They will bring them to you to intervene because of respect for you and how you can help them to resolve these issues. Is there an Easter message to help brethren, as we call them in church, deal with their issues without taking it to court, as Jesus said?
Yes, in the Bible, we have people who said, I am of Paul, I am of Apollos, I am of Cephas, I am of Jesus Christ. It's because of this problem of dissension. I am this, I am that. There are different types of problems that Christians are going through, but we need not get to the law court before we can settle it. We can settle it amicably within us. And as on Tuesday, people will be resuming to their places of work, there are problems, there are troubles, there are many things to contend with the economic problem of Nigeria and the insecurity thing. All these things can drive us crazy. But at the end of the day, I want to tell us that there's a light at the end of the tunnel because Christ brought hope. So we are not hopeless. Christ Jesus brought victory. So we are victorious, we are victors. And for the fact that Jesus Christ died and rose on the third day, as Pastor Ashimolo has said, it is finished. Yes, all our predicaments and woes, sicknesses, troubles of different types, it is finished. If we believe in him and we believe that he can help us in all what we are going through. And during the time of Elisha said, by this time tomorrow, and by this time tomorrow can still happen in Nigeria.
Okay, I want to ask you a question, and I would like Pastor Ashimolo to respond to the same question. The president, President Tinubu, said when he hosted some clergymen and traditional rulers on Thursday, he said that the messaging of clergymen, Christians or Muslim clergymen, they sometimes denigrate the country. And by so doing, they encourage the worshippers in church, in the mosques, to do the same thing. They said people were denigrating Nigeria. They said it's okay to say this leader is bad, that leader is bad, but don't say the country is bad. If you were to address clergymen and the people, the laity, the people they speak to, how would you respond to that?
We should not incite our congregation against the government. I'm always telling my congregation and my pastors, you pray for Nigeria always. For the past 5 days now, I've sent a letter out that we should pray for Nigeria because of what is happening, insecurity and so on, the economic downturn. And not only Nigeria, even the world, Gaza and Jerusalem, Russia and Ukraine, Sudan and so on. We should pray for peace. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem. Pray for the peace of Nigeria, and those that love us shall prosper. So we should pray for peace. We should not incite our members against the government. We should pray for them. We are praying for the government all the time, and God will surely help us. We will surely overcome. Look at what is happening now. The rate of dollar to naira is now different. And look at Niger. They said Niger should open its border. By the grace of God, we believe that something good will happen. And also the percentage in banks has risen. So all this, we believe that something good will come out of it. And we should warn all these people that are selling things at a skyrocketed prices. It's unchristian, it's unreligious. It's not Christ-like. It's unrighteous.
Well, Pastor Ashimolo, anyway, you please respond to the same question. By the way, the governor of Lagos State said the same thing. They said, look, let the change in dollar prices reflect on the goods and services.
Yes.
Well, it didn't buy it at the same rate. Well, Pastor Ashimolo, how do you respond to the president's comments to clergymen and the traditional rulers when he hosted them on Thursday?
Well, firstly, I'd like to say personally that the view of a priest, a pastor, a clergy person should not be shared with his congregation because in your congregation on a given day, you will have all the political parties. The last election, in my opinion, with all due respect, was vitriolic. Some preachers, in my opinion, went too far by sharing with their congregation who their preferred candidate was. I think rather you should love Nigeria, pray for Nigeria, hope for the best for Nigeria. And when a government is in power, the Bible teaches us that the seat of government is ordained of God. May not necessarily be the person you like, but that seat. So whoever occupies the seat, while they are on that seat, they should be honored, they should be regarded. Some of the skits you see on TikTok, some of the comments you see from Christians, it is totally inappropriate, does not agree with Scripture. Once a person is in power, if your politics is different from theirs, bury your politics for the time they are there. Honor them, because by honoring the seat, you honor God. That's the teaching of the Bible.
Pastor Ashimolo, you also said now that Jesus Christ addressed the Senate of his day. And there are those who would say his comments were not patronizing to them.
Yeah, well, you see, Jesus had... No, we are not saying that you should not address the evil in society. We're only saying honor the seat on which the person sits, but speak your mind. When I talk about the people who are doing all those TikToks, I'm talking of people who are still referring to election results. We should move on. If you don't agree with something going on in the system, yes, you can speak your mind. Christians are not dummies. They are supposed to be part of the change. We are supposed to be patriotic, and Jesus was. In fact, there was no other patriotic person like Jesus. He was so pro-Israel in his humanity and pro the world in his divinity. However, while he came and spoke against unrighteousness, he honored the seat of leadership. Let me give you an example. Paul, when they told him that, hey, Paul, you are addressing the high priest of God that way, he said, oh, I am very sorry. I did not realize he's the high priest. I am taught by the word that I should honor the high priest. And therefore, straight away, he immediately corrected himself. We must speak. We must share our opinions. We must share. We are political, in the words of Karl Marx, we are political animals. However, the seat of government, Senate is respectable seat of government, and therefore we must. Government, we must honor it. But please recognize the fact that you can go out of point and you can be out of order by now using your feeling of the last election to say things that are totally out of Scripture and not consistent with good reasoning.
Now, Bishop, how does the message of Easter offer hope and comfort to Christians? I'm asking this in light of what Nigerians are going through at the moment. They've had it very tough in the last 9 months. Cost of living has gone up, cost of everything, cost of fuel, and the insecurity in the land. As we speak, there are some people who are in captivity. Sure. How are those going to get hope and comfort from the thought of Easter and the resurrection of Christ?
Yes. Resurrection is life. Resurrection is victory. Resurrection brought hope. Resurrection brought peace. It gave us power against sin, against evil powers, against Satan. So our hope is not fallen. We have hope in God that all things shall be better and it shall be better than what we are experiencing. Tears may endure for a night, but joy cometh in the morning. And at the same time, we are sowing in tears now. We surely reap with joy. So for us all, both Christians and those that are not Christians, Nigerians, and the whole world, as we're celebrating the resurrected life of Christ, as we are celebrating it, let us have hope that all shall be well with Nigeria, all shall be well with the nation, all shall be well with the world. And every person in this country should be ready to pray more. Do not curse our leaders. Do not abuse them. Do not say any uncharitable word against them. But if there's an opportunity to correct, please correct. And at the same time, there's hope for everybody, even the little ones, the unborn ones, the future generation of Nigeria and the present generation of Nigeria. There is hope if we believe and trust our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ.
Pastor Shimolo, let me go mundane now. I want to talk about the symbols of Easter. Two in particular. I want to talk about the Easter egg and the Easter bunny. What do they signify? What do they have to do with Easter?
Your segment of muddy waters and troubled waters. Muddy waters in the sense that in the 4th century, when Constantine became a Christian, he brought some of Roman worship into the church, and unfortunately, some of those practices, honestly, have their root in worship that is not Christian. Christianity has nothing to do with bunny rabbits and Easter eggs. It's fun for some people, and even if I may have to bust some bubbles, not only bunny rabbits and Easter eggs, so is Santa Claus. They take shine off Jesus, and it is very sad. Easter, the resurrection of Christ, 1 Corinthians chapter 15, makes very clear that it is the epitome, the corner piece, the finality of the Christian belief. But if Jesus did not rise, we have no hope, we have no future, our belief is in vain, and our choice to live holy and righteous was a waste. That is the message of Easter. Not the bunny rabbits, not the Easter egg,
not the eggs,
not that.
Bishop, you want to say something about that?
Some say that the egg represents new life, and the bunny represents fertility.
Well,
I knew that. I knew somehow that Alera was going to try to get that me this morning. So I'll get that also.
Bishop, you have any comment about that?
Yes, all these are foreign to us. But instead, give palliative. Help others.
Okay.
Give them 1,000 naira, give them 2,000 naira. There are many people on the street that just need only 10,000 naira or just 50,000 naira to survive and do a gainful business, small business, selling of pure water, selling of bottled water. So if we can do, instead of Easter egg or Easter cake, give palliative, help others, because it is Christ-like. Christ was selfless. He gave his life. Though we cannot give our own life to any other person, but the thing is that we can still do charity.
Many churches cooked food and gave fed a lot of people yesterday.
Yes.
Well, I know. Let me just ask this question. Most of the people in the days of Jesus, most of his disciples, I don't know whether they were younger or older, but Jesus himself was about 30 years old when he began his ministry. Let's imagine that there are those who are younger than he was. None of them could be anything younger than 2 years or so, because of the people that were killed, the mass, should we call that genocide, of little children when he was, about the time he was born, up to about 2 years old or so. No, at his birth. At his birth. So, in other words, he was very young, and he did such amazing, marvelous things in his time. What should we be telling mostly despondent young people today who cannot see this hope you're talking about, Bishop, who are having a hard time because their parents have had a hard time, and the only thing they are thinking about in their heads is, to use the street language, blow.
Yes, to despondent young people on the streets. Sir and Ma, I'm afraid what is going to happen in the next 5 years. I don't know what is going to happen. I was going somewhere yesterday and I saw about 5 or 6 young, able-bodied boys begging, doing this. We want to eat. Please give us money. When they can go to Jankara and carry load. And at the same time, I always observe what I see on streets. You see young men smoking marijuana, cigarettes, and at the same time, this sachet alcohol, they just drink it like pure water. And they, after drinking, they just throw the thing somewhere. We are having such young men and young ladies these days. But I still want to call on our pastors. We can still organize street evangelism. That's what we are doing, our street evangelism, market evangelism. Yes, but the hope is not lost. We have responsible young men, young women here and there who are really, really working for their daily bread and to have something in their pocket and in their bank account. But all these young ones that are still despondent, sleeping under the bridge, doing all sorts, harassing people on the bridge when the night is falling, we can still arrest the situation.
Okay. Pastor.
And God will help us.
Amen. Pastor Shimalo, same question, sir. How do we pass on this message to young, to youths, young people, like in the days of Jesus, because he was very young when he started, and he was able to pick a few people and to work with him. How do we get this message across to them as well?
I think first of all, we have to first address the older people by reminding them that Nigeria is more than 60% under 30. And therefore, the youth should be given a chance. We are excited by the news of Senegal. A 40-year-old has taken over government. Let us believe in our young people. Let us give them a chance. Let us stop replicating leadership with the same people. Let us give the youth a chance. Number two, just like my bishop brother said, you as a young person must realize the words of John Fitzgerald Kennedy. Ask not what your nation can do for you. Ask what you can do for your nation. Get out of that seat and stop telling yourself, well, what is Nigeria doing for us? I want to jump up. I've lived in England 40 years in February. If I had life to do all over again, I've been fulfilled. And yet I would say, you can get a house, a car in England, but you can never reach the apple key of your profession, except from your birth or in the place that is giving you the best opportunity. Young man, young woman, don't give up your dream. Don't give up your future. Don't give up your hope. Do not surrender because the nation is going through a tough time. Life, according to the Bible, is cyclical. Alexander's School of Teaching teaches us that things should be linear. 2 + 2 is 4, 4 + 4 is 8, 8 + 8 is 16. The Bible does not teach linear, it teaches cyclical. We are in a cycle of pain now. We are going to come out of pain to praise, to plenty, to prosperity, to possibility, to purpose.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Very curious. Maybe because you've been doing it for quite a while, you were able to select all the right piece. Well, we appreciate Well, thank you so much, Pastor Matthew Ashimolo, Global President and Senior Pastor, Kingsway International Christian Center. Thank you so much for your time as well as the Right Reverend Ifedola Opupevede, Diocesan Bishop of Lagos, Church of Nigeria, Anglican Communion. Thank you so much. You want to pray? Okay, go ahead. Pray for us.
Father, Son, Holy Spirit, may your holy name be blessed for today. Thank you, Lord, for the vicarious death of Jesus Christ on the cross. He has given us hope. If Christ has not risen, our faith is in vain. And so he said, death, where is your sting? The sting of death is sin. Please save us from sin. Amen. Help us to know and see the hope that you have brought to the world. Let Nigeria be a better place, a good place. May we prosper. May we blossom. May we flourish. Give wisdom to our leaders and our younger ones. Lord God Almighty, please support them. Give them wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. And the elderly ones, let them know the truth and let the truth set them free. And let the church continue to prosper in preaching the gospel, that the coming of the Lord is imminent. And may we continue to bask in the euphoria, in the good things of Easter. And at the eternal Easter tide, may we not be a cast out. In Jesus' precious mighty name we have prayed.
Amen. Thank you so much. And with that, we wrap up this segment. We're back right after now to talk about something a certain chunk of you will find very interesting. Do stay with us.
Thanks for calling Bastion HMO.
Thank you. Now that was my health insurance partner. Yeah, I was just as skeptical as you were about health insurance until I tried Bastion HMO. I got a healthcare plan that's right for me and my family. I have access to top quality healthcare services and facilities. We also get access to over 1,700 hospitals and clinics. Call 0800 Bastion, Bastion Health, the HMO that puts you in control.
In a world hungry for goodness, with a splash of golden Terra oil, a mom can transform a frown into a smile. Make a lunch hour a happy hour. Change no thanks into yes, please. Provide care when our nearest and dearest needs it most. And resolve family feuds without blowing a whistle. Providing tasty, nourishing family meals is all that matters. The world needs moms, because where there are moms, there is hope, happiness, and love. Golden Terra Oil, or pure love.
Do you know that you can now print all your essential items for events without even having to leave your home? It's the Casprint Combo Deal for all events. Yes! Weddings, conferences, birthdays, burials, etc. Starting from 495,000 Naira only. You get 50 invites, 50 A2 size posters, 50 16-page brochures, 1 large backdrop banner, 1 roll-up banner, 50 jotters with pens, and 50 souvenir carrier bags. Whatever event you're planning, we can adjust to your budget and quantities. Just send your pictures and other information through WhatsApp, and we shall send a design for your approval. Approve your design, and we will produce with super high quality digital print technology. We can even arrange delivery to your location. Call us now on 0913-156-5016 or 0812-794-9323 or visit our social media pages. Casprints, digital printing at super speed.
Hi. Now let me tell you about Safari Valley Eco Resort, the first of its kind in West Africa. Upon your arrival, you are introduced to your butler, who plans your itinerary.
We were surrounded by wildlife from the moment we entered the eco park.
So many activities, all in the same premises. Visit the gym or the stables, they have it all. At my break, I'm able to practice my putting.
We also went fishing on a man-made canal. Our tour guides taught us so much about the wildlife and how to interact with them.
They used only electric vehicles here. This creates a serene environment. I'm told it's over 1,000 acres. My cabin here sits on 2 acres with a large terrace space overlooking my private swimming pool. Now this is royalty. They have their own farms, thousands of fruit trees. I can also have my lunch here at the waterfall. Quite a beautiful place you have here.
Visit Safari Valley Eco Resort in Ghana, bringing you closer to nature.
Taste.
Thanks for calling Bastion HMO.
Thank you. Now that was my health insurance partner. Yeah, I was just as skeptical as you were about health insurance until I tried Bastion HMO. I got a healthcare plan that's right for me and my family. I have access to top quality healthcare services and facilities. We also get access to over 1,700 hospitals and clinics. Call 0800 Bastion, Bastion Health, the HMO that puts you in control.
Nigeria Public Relations Week 2024. That's what we're going to be looking at now. The Nigeria Institute of Public Relations was founded in 1963. It seeks to provide growth for public relations for the public relations profession and improve the perception of public relations in Nigeria. It also aims to unite public relations professionals under a single banner and represent the industry on PR-related issues. Now, before we go into this topic, let me tell you that that thing that you do and you call PR is not PR.
Nah.
Thank you very much.
What is it?
Bribe.
It's PR.
It's called bribe.
Bribe. Gratification.
It is called riba. Thank you very much.
Roger.
What's that? What is riba?
What's riba?
Yeah.
Riba is bribe. Our guest on this segment is Yomi Badejo Okusoya, lead partner, CMC Connect LLP, Perception Consulting, and he's the former president, African Public Relations Association, and past chairman of the NIPR Lagos State Chapter. And I was his council member.
That's right.
Good morning, YBO.
Good morning.
Everybody calls him YBO, by the way.
I've come to take you back. You guys have had a member for too long.
No, we are coming. In
okay,
the meantime, first, let's start.
He's a member too.
Let's start from that conversation. That hornet's nest that she attempted to stir. What is PR? Or rather, what is not PR?
Okay. PR is definitely not propaganda. PR is not spinning. When you say you spin things, that's not PR. PR is not bribe taking or bribe giving. PR is not protocol. PR is not arranging, ladies or the fairer sex for your bosses. That's not PR. Definitely.
Some people call that PR?
No, that's not. I vehemently disagree. I still spoke to someone 2 days ago and said, I quickly did PR for them. That's not PR. Definitely. PR, by my own definition, there are many definitions of public relations. The Mexican Statement of 78, the Jeff Franklins, and but what I have come to settle for, that PR is the management discipline that establishes trust, sustains the trust, sometimes repairs or rebuilds the trust for comparative reputation advantage. Do I say that again?
No, we'll keep that for the books.
Eritco should come and employ you.
PR is the management discipline that establishes trust, sustains trust, in instances rebuilds the trust for comparative reputation advantage.
How does PR help to maximize goodwill? I know that's not why you are here, but...
It's okay. I mean, part of it is enlightening. License to operate is trust. Every organization, your license to operate is trust. Every individual. The only reason why you've asked me to come here is because you trust that I'm going to say the right things. The only reason why I am here is because I trust your station. If that didn't exist, then I would not be here. Because either you would not be sitting here, this station would not be existing, or I would not be here. So, in order to promote that trust, it must be structured, it must be strategic, it must be intentional, and it must be deliberate. And so, how do you promote the goodwill?
How does it help to promote the goodwill?
How does it help? Trust, first and foremost, because, like I said, the license to operate. If you don't have the trust, then you shouldn't be operating, or you cannot be operating. Would you get into an airplane that you don't trust the pilot?
We never know the pilot most of the time.
Yes, but I'm just saying, okay, would you get into a car that, okay, if you got into an airplane and they told you that's a pilot and you're smelling of alcohol, would you still fly that plane that day?
I'd do a Michael Jackson's moonwalk.
So basically, the biggest commodity that PR sells is trust. And what you call, when you convert that trust, it's called reputation. So when people they trust you over a period of time, then you build a reputation. And that is what public relations trades in.
Would some even say that public relations is reputation management?
That's right, exactly. Reputation management.
Can PR be monetized?
I don't understand in what sense. I mean, definitely.
They say they have budget for PR.
No, but I've told you that's wrong. But in the sense that those of us who ply the trade, we must get paid.
Yeah.
We must be remunerated. So yes, it can be monetized in the sense that you are providing a service,
and you
just
get
like
paid
both
for
of you
the service.
are providing a service, and I really hope, I believe you are being paid for it.
Is PR not? Is CSR not part of PR?
It is. So corporate social responsibility is one of the tools of public relations, and in itself. And when we get to that place, we'll talk about it. One of the topics we'll be talking about sustainability and authenticity, getting it right. So what does it mean? I wouldn't think it is wrong for you to sink a borehole for 100,000 naira and then you spend 2 million celebrating the 100,000 naira. What are you measuring? Our bishop just left here now. What you should be measuring is impact, not the publicity. Do you understand? So when you put the borehole in place as part of a corporate social responsibility or corporate social initiative, how many lives were impacted? How many more people went to school? So maybe in that village, people have to go 5 kilometers to go and fetch water, the women, and so on and so forth. Sick because people are drinking water that is not potable. How many people used to fall sick, and what is it? So those are the things we should be measuring, and not the number of front page mentions you received or the number of spots, and with due respect, on channels because you sunk a borehole.
But sometimes the reason why I sunk that borehole in the first place was so that I can see how many pages I can get in the newspaper.
Yes, and I'm saying that's wrong. I'm saying that's wrong. I'm saying that that's not well-practiced sustainability. In most companies now operate globally, what you call the 3 bottom line, I think they call planet, profitability, and people. So you can't measure your progress by just profitability, which is the bottom line. You must talk about how has it impacted the planet. And then you must talk about how has it impacted the people.
Are all these topics going to be covered in the Nigeria
by the
Public
grace of God
Relations
week? Yes, because we have a session focused on sustainability. And that's why I said sustainability and authenticity. How getting it right. How you can balance. I don't have a problem with people knowing what an organization or an individual has done. But definitely the cost of what it is must not surpass. So let me give you an example. And I can say it, I'm sure he probably wouldn't be upset about this. This week I was speaking to a client and I said, oh, this program that you do every year, why are you not doing it again? I said, look, we found out that it's a food company, and if I mention along the line of where it is, you understand. They recognize children who have done heroic things. You probably have an idea of the brand I'm talking about. And he said, look, we realize that we do this event, and we have the activities, we bring in the people who've done it, the winners. Then we spend so much hosting people who have nothing to do with it, giving them food, giving them drinks, and we thought to ourselves, if we took that money off, so we announced the winners, and we had the ceremony online. And you know why? Because the winners who are going on with 2 million naira before were now going on with 5 million naira. Because they took the money that they would have used to have a nice, lovely event, feast. Feast. That's the word. They now give it to the winners. So that's the way we should be thinking.
So what are you intending to achieve with this Nigeria Public Relations Week? What are the objectives?
First and foremost, many people do not understand and appreciate the value of public relations. It has to do with a lot of ambiguities that we carry around. 1, in the definition. 2, in what people perceive us to be. 3, are we journalists?
Yes. Here.
He's a member, so I wonder why. Maybe I should take my membership back.
I gave them PR.
All this ganging up against.
She's a former council member. I'm a former council member.
I'm a Senate member.
We can withdraw your membership. We can withdraw your membership.
So how many delegates have been expected?
Well, we're looking. You were first telling me what. Let me go back to what you said. Why are we doing this? 1, so we need to. One of my biggest in fact, that's my main mantra. What I say a lot: public relations needs public relations.
Yeah.
Physician, heal thyself. We do it for our clients, we do it for our principals, but we forget to do it for ourselves. Who is looking at us? So this is one time that we're doing something for ourselves. And we're trying to bring together the importance and the value of public relations as a management discipline. And one of the biggest challenges this country has is, or if in fact it's the biggest challenge, economy. And so the theme of the conference is leveraging public relations for Nigeria's, leveraging public relations as a critical asset for Nigeria's economic and reputation renaissance. Now, what are we doing? We are linking the economy to reputation. Anywhere, and you can, either you can try me, or you can ask me, or you can put me on the line. Anywhere you see good reputation, that a country has good reputation, check it. More often than not, they have a good economy. Think about it. Once they have a good reputation, because the avenue you drive on for good reputation is the same avenue for economic sustenance.
So that's the prime objective.
So that's the prime objective. We want. So we're bringing in the likes of the Honorable Minister for Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, who has also been made the chairman of the Economic Group. We're bringing in the Central Bank Governor, Yemi Cardoso. We're bringing in we're also approaching the special advisor to the president on policy formulation, Ms. Adisa Bala Usman. She hasn't responded, I must say. But we're trying to bring the captains from the economic side. Of course, we have our own Honorable Minister of Information and National Orientation, Alhaji Mohammed Idris Malagi, who is also a fellow of the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations. We have the governor of Ogun State, His Excellency Prince Dr. Dapo Abiodun. We have a host of other people who are coming, who are in charge of the economy of the country, and we will be speaking to them and we'll be interacting and saying, how can we work with you?
Well, I assume that the governor of Ogun State is coming because this event is holding in Abeokuta.
Yes.
In a way.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, Ogun State is our host government.
So and why Abeokuta?
Why not Abeokuta?
Okay, let's do it. So, is this going to include the 65th annual conference?
Let me put it to you like this. And I am not in government in Abeokuta, and it has nothing to do with the fact that I'm from Ogun State. It was decided outside me. But the fastest growing economy, state economy outside Lagos is Ogun State. Ogun State has the largest, arguably, maybe after Lagos, or perhaps even more than Lagos, largest number of industries in manufacturing bases in Nigeria. Yes. And
by the grace of Lagos, are they? By the grace of Lagos.
Well, they're complementary. And I'm just saying to you, why not Ogun State? And I'm not being...
No.
What I feel is that if all the economies, state economies, should grow, then we wouldn't have problems. All this urban, urban migration. So let Ogun State grow, let Oyo State grow, let Osun grow, and so on and so forth.
You have just made my partner here very happy because he keeps saying, we keep looking to the president, we keep looking to the center. No. The governors have a role to play. What are the governors doing?
Especially because they collect billions in security votes, according to some people. Anyway, you know what? So are there going to be special programs for young professionals?
Oh, definitely, most definitely. The first day of our, which is on the 22nd, we are having all the tertiary schools in Ogun State. We are bringing them together, and we're going to do a career talk for them in public relations. And then on the third day, I believe, we have young practitioners where they are going to take over, and they are the ones who are going to discuss their career in public relations. What should they be doing? What should they not be doing? And so on and so forth.
Okay.
Now, where in Abeokuta is this taking place?
The historical June 12 Cultural Center. It's just as you're coming into Abeokuta, Kuto. And it's in itself very symbolic because it was named, we all know about the June 12th struggle. So the building was put up in honor of that. So in itself, it's a building that celebrates democracy.
That's the website. Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
That's the website for the event,
yes,
right?
That's the website.
I see that there is a registration portal.
Yeah, there is a registration portal, yeah.
Okay.
This
is what it will take for anyone to get in the door.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
Are you also going to pay? Can you pay for me? I'm just saying. Anyway, so let's continue this conversation.
And you stop being a freeloader.
Yes.
Stop being a freeloader.
With you. Don't even go there.
This June 12th center you're talking about, how secure is it? Because we don't want to wake up the day after the opening and hear that a number of you have been kidnapped.
Yes, you know, the truth, and I say this with all sense of responsibility. Again, it has nothing to do with just facts. Look at it. One of the safest places you can be at presently, Touchwood, is Abeokuta. Touchwood. And I say that, and check it. I mean, there are incidences of,
it's not
criminal, but it's not.
What I mean by
when last were you in Abeokuta?
Oh my God, Yonks.
No, please, Alero, you've got to come for this. Honestly, let me tell you what. From here to Abeokuta, you are there in less than 50 minutes. I've been to Abeokuta. I mean, I go regularly. sometimes you don't even have the luxury of stepping on your brakes from here to Abeokuta. The roads are good. And then in terms of security, the chairman of our security work group is Mr. Muyiwa Adejobi, who you know as a force public relations officer. The government is supporting us. We have all the security groups from DSS. I was with the DSS a few days ago. They are all providing us with cover.
We've got very little time left, but I need to put this question in. Nigeria is in dire straits right now, internally, as well as our reputation outside. We have been portrayed in all kinds of light, none of which is positive. So are there any plans to, I want to use the correct word. I don't want to use any of the derogatory words that I use to describe public relations, like you have any plans to dry clean our image, or you have any stuff like that. What I mean is that, do you have any plans to make any proposals to government regarding our reputation outside of this nation?
Well, which is why we're bringing the top government officials in. When you look at it, what public relations does is that it goes to the root of the matter. Otherwise, you are whitewashing, which is when that then it becomes propaganda. So we can't just wave a magic wand and say it happens. We need to build it bottom up. What are the issues? How do we address the issue? There's no country in the world that doesn't have issues. None. But when you come to it and you strategically plan and then implement the plan, monitor the plan, what are the building blocks that can drive reputation? We identify them and we correct them. Is it what the president says? Who is the president? The president is the chief reputation officer of the country. The president is the chief public relations officer of the country, also the chief marketing officer of the country. So what should he be saying? What should he not be saying? We had a president that said youths are lazy. That in itself, it's not so right.
Did its own damage.
Yeah. So yes, we are, and you can be rest assured that we will be doing a whole lot of the whole essence of this before. Alera, and you know this, we used to be in a room and we speak to ourselves as public relations practitioners, and we developed what I called professional constipation. Now we are taking liver salts.
Okay. What date is it, by the way?
It's the 22nd of April to the 26th of April. It's going to be a mixed grill. We have something with the Obas, whereby we're going to help them increase their relevance in their various domains by using public relations tools. We have a golf kitty. You don't play golf. You stop playing tennis. Let's play golf. We have Adire on runway, whereby we want to put Adire.
Are all this information on your website?
Everything is on the website.
Oh, yes, I'll come for that day.
Fantastic. And the First Lady of Ogun State has agreed to be our guest of honor, whereby we want to show. In fact, we have. Do you know that there's something authentic Adire versus
Adire?
Yes. Not Adire. No, you said you don't call it Adire because Adire means Adi. Adire. We tie it and we soak it.
This one is machine made.
Yeah, this one is. So if it's not
and
deep
it's coming out
and if it's not red, it's not Adire. So that's why we said authentic Adire on the runway.
Okay.
You need to join us. Both of you need to join us.
All right.
This is sounding very interesting, isn't
Most
it?
certainly. I think
22nd to the 26th of April next month. Nigeria Public Relations Week. Well, we've been chatting with the lead partner, CMC Connect LLP, Perception Consulting, and he is the former president, African Public Relations Association, and past chairman of the NIPR Lagos State Chapter. And his name, Yomi Badijo Okunsanya, otherwise known as YBO.
By the way, the website to go to is niprng.org, right?
Yeah, www.niprng.org.ng.
Okay. So,
all the best.
Thank you. Look forward to seeing you guys there.
We certainly.
Especially you, Ayo. Otherwise, I withdraw your membership.
Oh dear.
This kind of threat.
Does he have the power?
Let's take this short break. Let's address this matter the way we normally do. Reduce cognitive decline and much more. Let's have this conversation right quick with Isiaha Bolaji Olojo, who is a health and wellness coach. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Some Christians just ended a 40-day fast. Muslims are still fasting. And some people have never fasted in their life. Some haven't fasted in a very long time. What are they missing or losing?
What are they missing or losing? I like the way Miss A is looking at me because
no, I'm waiting for the answer.
Just waiting we're having an interesting conversation before we came on air. What are they missing? So I like to think of fasting as what we do to our cars. Our cars are constantly moving, right? We go from here to there, and they do this fantastic job of taking us from here to here. But we don't drive all the time. We stop at different times. We
can change drivers.
No, I'm not talking of that. I'm saying we just let the car be. And from time to time, we even take the car for servicing. So what fasting does for the body, which is the most sophisticated machine ever, is to give it that time to rest and to service itself so that it can serve us better. So if we're constantly eating, we're not giving the body an opportunity to optimize itself, to heal, to repair. You know, you talked about longevity. It's amazing how a lot of the challenges we have with our health is because we're just constantly eating. Our bodies are not made to keep on eating. While ingestion, eating, is a very normal process, absorption, digestion, they're complicated. And we can't afford for that to keep happening. So when we fast, it's like sprinkling in the body and saying, hey, after all this work you have done, take a break. So that when we introduce food again, the body is optimally functioning. So they're definitely missing a lot if you're not fasting.
I love the smile on your face when you said that. So I get the impression that you fast from time to time?
As a habit, yes. And it's not even something that only I should be doing. That's literally how the body was made to function optimally.
Okay. At what age are you advised to fast with discretion?
What do you mean by discretion?
Well, when I was younger, I heard that when you turn 60, because when you are young, you want to fast all through Lent, maybe till 12 noon or till 6 o'clock. And I was told that once you get to 60, you have to apply some discretion. Maybe instead of going till 6 o'clock, you stop at 12 and make sure you put something in your system, because the systems are not working as efficiently as they used to. So they cannot stay without nourishment for those long hours.
Okay, so you're talking in terms of as we get older,
yes.
When do we? Okay, so the most important thing is how we're treating the body even before we get to that age. If you have put your body in some kind of system, in some kind of habit, in some kind of routine, you can actually carry on, because like I said, the body is the most sophisticated machine ever. So let's just assume, let me talk about this. We have this, people will call it a fad, but really it should just be a way of life. Intermittent fasting, we're all familiar with that.
What is it?
Intermittent fasting is basically this period where we have some time of eating. It's called feasting. Then we have periods of fasting in a 24-hour day. Some people even take it to 3 days. So maybe you eat for 1 day or 1.5 days, and then you have a couple of hours when you don't eat. But let's look at it within the 24-hour cycle. So people could do like an 18-6, meaning that I'm fasting for 18 hours and I'm eating for 6 hours. That gives us 24 hours. Or I'm fasting for 16 hours and I'm eating for 8 hours. So that's something that happens now. And sometimes people can think of it as a fad, but it's really not a fad. It's one way to get the body to function optimally. Because, okay, think about our homes. our homes, right? When we live in our homes and we do all the normal processes that happen within the home, whether you are a very careful person or you're not a very careful person, the home at some point would demand some kind of spring cleaning, some kind of deep cleaning. But when you introduce that system, instead of waiting for a particular time when you spring clean the home, if you now make it a daily habit, which is where I'm going to, if we make it a daily habit, then you just realize that you have set up your body to function.
And you don't need to spring clean.
Let me
you would
provoke.
still do that.
Let me provoke some things. So we hear all kinds of things all the time already, and you have tons of questions to answer. I fast already anyway because I'm supposed to sleep for 8 hours. Yes or yes? Now, when I sleep for 8 hours, am I not fasting?
Yes.
You're fasting.
Secondly,
he has not finished.
Secondly,
hold it.
Generally, most people, well, my kind of person, most of the time, don't even have the time for breakfast. All I do in the morning is my cocoa.
Oh.
With honey.
You're so posh.
Cocoa.
You know, my cocoa. Not cocoa. Not
Yeah, cocoa.
Cocoa.
Is that like chocolate drink?
Yes. Something like that. It's,
with a touch of honey.
With a dash of honey.
Okay.
With a dash of honey.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying? So, for those who don't already eat like 3 times, don't have the time to have 3 square meals.
So you're not intentionally fasting. That's not intentional.
Please answer the question, Jerry.
Mr. Ayo, you're doing the right thing.
You see?
Because we're not supposed to be eating all the time.
You
There's
see?
just such a presence of food everywhere. Everywhere you go for a meeting that is 8 hours, and there are 2 tea breaks, there's a lunch break, there's breakfast, and we feel a need to eat at every of these times.
We paid for it.
I can't even say anything to that. I'm not even going to say anything to that. But honestly, there's too much food. So when you talk, so basically what you're saying, we can just put it into a nice system of intermittent fasting. When we talk of breakfast, it's actually what you break that fast that your body has been on
all night
while you slept. So you know when I said the 18-6, the 18 hours of fasting, your sleep time is added to it. So imagine that you don't have the time to eat, of which we're not supposed to always be eating anyways, and then your first meal is at 1 o'clock. That's completely okay. And we're now saying, put a system to it. Don't just do it casually. Let the body have times when it's feasting. So let's say you start to eat at 1. And because you know your body, you're the expert on your own body. You know your body. You start to feel the desire to eat from 1. You can then say, okay, I can carry on this eating for the next 7 hours. And that's not to say you just eat, because what you eat in those hours really matter. And you tell yourself, I would stop eating at 8 p.m. My last meal, my body closes for the day at 8 p.m. And you make that a habit. Even your body likes predictability. You know what causes some people to just age fast is when, think of your car. Do you take it to any kind of servicing every time? No. You stick to a certain routine. So every time we introduce fad diets and eating anyhow, and there's no predictability and structure to our eating, the body is almost confused. And then your cells are constantly moving, and that's how the wear and tear happens. But once you bring in that system, and you're like, hey, I'm going to eat between 1 and 9, 1 and 8, whatever number of hours you choose to eat, and you make it a habit. It's amazing what this machine that is your body starts to do for you. But if we're just anyhow, body's eating anyhow, because there's food everywhere. We can't even blame, there's just food everywhere. And it looks like food is the answer to social problems. Food is the answer to every problem. I agree that food is amazing. But fasting is that thing we bring in to say, hey, I'm putting a break on it.
Does it matter what the nature of work the person does? Because I don't know how I can preach this one to a bricklayer.
Okay, I love the question, because when we say when we say you start your eating window, your feasting window, you can choose to start your feasting window when your body is going to be demanding the most energy from you. So even a bricklayer is not working for 12, ideally. Should not be working for 14 hours. So imagine that you start your work.
You're right. Let's say he starts working around, say, 8 a.m. You would probably close 6, 7 p.m.
Yes. So, and your body doesn't need to keep being fueled until you close. So you can fuel yourself sufficiently within a nice window, and the body continues to power you. And after some time, all of the food is digested, absorbed. Then the body has an opportunity to rest before we start the whole process the next day.
Do you have a question now? Because I want to keep firing.
Fire.
Please, fire on.
Now, one of the things, I saw a video. It's one religion. It was a call to prayer. The husband and wife sat down. They already had everything that they wanted to eat. And then there was a call to prayer. The man said, the wife wanted to join. The man said, wait. So they now thought that the call to prayer had started fully. And then they started to eat because they had been fasting. They started to eat. And then they heard testing microphone.
Oh, dear. Oh, dear.
So, breaking the fast, and I'm not just talking about breakfast, breaking the fast, is there a science or a mechanism to it? Someone is hungry, has been hungry since morning. You have a large bowl of eba. Why are you laughing?
The picture is just in my mind's eye. Someone has been fasting since morning.
Yeah.
And then you said that they should not eat it.
And then you prepare a table before me.
And then...
So, is there a mechanism or a science to breaking the fast?
Okay. But why are we saying they should not eat? Because it's okay to get to
eat eba immediately. I'm just asking.
Meanwhile, eba is really good. Because
Yes,
sometimes
it is.
eba just gets a bad rap.
Yes, you are right.
It's fantastic.
No, you are absolutely right. But is it a good one to break the fast with?
No.
So
but let me give you some. Okay, so when we have let our body fast and rest and repair all of the things that have happened, when we think food, don't just think eating. I want you to think nourishment. You are nourishing the body. You're not just putting calories in. So one of the best things that I'll tell the citizens, my clients that I coach, is after you've had this period of especially intentional fasting, one of the best ways, because at this point, okay, let's use this analogy of a home. When you clean and declutter your home, fasting can be like that. We've taken away all the toxins, we've dealt with everything. That's a really good time to fumigate, because then the fumigation can go everywhere and do the work that it's supposed to do. So think of eating after that period of fasting as nourishing the body, as fumigating, as optimizing things. So one of the best ways to start is by taking a juice. I'm not saying you won't still eat your eba. You will eat it because it's great. But what that juice, because you're thinking nourishment, how do I just really pump my body with nutrients? And that period, the fumigation goes everywhere with little hindrance. So that's what you want to do. A juice or a smoothie is packed with nutrients. So, and it's not hard to digest. It can just nicely go, give all the organs what it needs nicely without hindrances. Then maybe after 20, 30 minutes, you can then eat. Even some religions that fast, they don't just break with eba. They break with lighter food. So the goal is make it light. Let it hit all the good parts of the body. Let it provide. Let it give what it should be given.
So you can start with cocoa.
What's cocoa?
Oh, Jesus.
Pap.
Pap.
Yeah.
But pap is great.
Ogi.
But what's cocoa?
That's it.
What language is that?
Yoruba.
Okay. Okay. I've said pap now.
Pap and akara, right?
Something like...
No, just the pap.
Yes,
okay.
Just to start, just to open belly, like we say, just open belly nicely. Then after some time, you can take that. Water is also, of course, if you were not drinking water when you were fasting, that's a great way to start. But don't put your body into this intense hard work immediately. Just nicely, slowly ease into...
So what's the consequence? Okay, go on.
Now, what is this fast that you can do and take water?
It's called a water fast.
Water fast.
Water fast. And it's, you know, the beautiful thing is how doctors are literally using water fast to cure diseases. That's way out of my scope, but for curiosity, I check it out, and it's amazing. Like, water fast is breakthrough in science now. I'm saying we're talking of fasting, helping the cancer drugs work even better. You talked about some of this when you were introducing this topic. So fasting is literally medicine now to break some kind of health challenges that we cannot break alone with drugs, because it's a way of manipulating the body. The body is a healer. The body can self-heal, but there are ways to manipulate it, and food can hinder it. So doctors are now finding ways, finding those windows when we feel like, no, don't eat. Hold on for a while, and then let's see what the body can come up with so that the body is equipped to fight disease on its own. It's powerful. What we're doing with food, and a lot of the challenges we have with our health, we know that it's really in our belly.
Okay, so just to be clear, there are different types of fasting.
Oh, they're different.
So water fast is one.
Yes.
What other types are there?
So you can have juice fasting, you can have fruit fasting. Juice, not the sugary juices. I'm saying natural juices. Yes, you can have water fasting, you can have fruit fasting, you can detox where you're eating like fruits and veg. That's another fantastic one.
What is that?
Okay, so a detox is when you're eating basically raw food. It's not not like raw rice.
Oh, okay. Just say
raw food, so veggies. You're basically not cooking anything. You're just eating salads,
okay.
Smoothies, water, all of that.
So how long do you have to do that for it to actually detoxify your body?
Thank you because I was waiting to go in that direction. So whatever thing it is that we're doing, which is why you can't really fast for 4 hours or 6 hours and get the benefits of it. You're going to have to extend it. So science actually would put it at about 16 hours. It's great. We added the time you slept, which is why sleep is amazing, because that's also the body's time to repair itself. So if I'm saying, hey, fast for 16 hours and you slept for 6, 7, 8 hours, that reduces the amount of time because there are other things you're doing. So if you're going to detox or you're going to fast, just make sure that you give it some time, 16 hours in the day, even 14 hours, that's pretty great. And if you're doing a detox, you want to maybe pull it for 3 days. If you're able to do that, just give the body time because imagine that some people have been eating really poorly for a while. Imagine a really dirty home and then a home that's not so dirty. You know that the people that are cleaning will take a lot of time to clean the dirty home, and sometimes that's just how some bodies are. So it takes time for the toxins. I say this with all sense of respect. That's how the body can be, and then you take some time to take it out.
Let's just call this part 1. I didn't know talking about fasting could be so consuming. Okay, fasting. Just Google it, because I don't think we can say all of it. But thank you so much for being here this morning. Eziaha Bolaji-Olojo is a health and wellness coach. Now you know that your sleep time is fasting time. All right, we'll take a short break, and when we return, it's time for the home stretch. And guess who's coming to dinner?
He's
Yes, that is our Artist of the Week. And her name is Tosin Oyelaki. She's a UK-based British Nigerian, multiple award-winning gospel singer, songwriter, and worship leader who's been singing in church since she was about 7 years old. In February of 2016, she released her debut 3-track EP, You're Precious, and in 2018, she released her first album titled My Offering, My Everything. Her sophomore album, Your Kingdom Come, was released in 2021. Hello, Tosin. Good to have you with us this morning.
Good morning, and thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here this morning. Thank you.
I love the smile.
Thank you so much.
A happy Easter to you.
Happy Easter to you all, too.
Now, Tosin, is there singing in the family?
My father was in the Methodist choir when he was alive, and he was the church organist. So, yeah, I think I got my musical leanings from him.
Were you also in the choir?
Yes, always. Since I was about 7, I started, I took a liking, to singing and, acting generally, dancing and all that when I was about 7 years old in Sunday school. So, yes, that's where I started from.
From what I have here, you're a very busy person. You're a physiotherapist by profession.
Right.
You are a mother. You are a wife. You are a speaker. You are a writer. Should I go on? So how do you juggle being all this?
That was going to sound spiritual, but I think it must be the strength of God that helps me, because even sometimes I sit down and think, how do I do all this? But I think I'm just able to manage because, number one, I have the passion for it. It's what I love to do. So it's not tiring for me. Everything that I do, being a physiotherapist, being a mom, being a wife, being a writer, being a speaker, being a singer, they're all passionate, things I'm passionate about. So it comes to me naturally, and I do also have time, take time to rest. So yeah, I try to manage things and balance things up that way.
Interesting. So let's just say, so there is a passion for motherhood as well somewhere there. I'm just asking.
Yes.
And there's a passion for being a wife. Those two alone are just full-time jobs. But so what would then be the challenges that you would say come with these callings? Because I can't say it's just one. Yeah. Sometimes there will be a clash of timing, scheduling. They want to have parent-teachers meetings. You have to be there at the same time you're supposed to be at a worship or a speaking engagement. What are the challenges? And how do you manage them for those who need some inspiration?
So it's prioritizing. I know that my primary calling is to my family. So I prioritize my family above my speaking engagements, my music, and all that. And it's making sure that I time things well. There have been times that, we've not been informed on time about school activities that I have to be present. But I've had to drop things just so that I could be there for my kids, because it's important for me and my children that I'm present there. So I've had to drop some engagements or rearrange things where I could to make sure that I'm present. So it's making sure that I'm prioritizing my activities. I prioritize my family above all of these things. However, my family understands where I've had to sort of put a limit on family time so that I could attend to other things. So where there haven't been very important and very strict activities for the family, where we can be flexible, we've managed that very well.
I understand the music industry a little bit. We do, because we've worked with radio stations, and we've had to host music artists such as yourself And we grew up at a time when we could track where the money was coming from. Cassettes, CDs, records, and all. How do you manage that these days? Because what you save with cassettes and CDs, you spend somewhere else. Help us understand how you manage the business parts of what you do.
I mainly fund my music personally as an independent artist because I'm not signed up to any record label, so I manage financial side of things myself. So obviously, because I'm a physiotherapist, I'm able to get the money to fund my music. However, the music also makes a bit of money on the digital platforms where I always put my music and where I have, not a great deal of downloads, but I do have a fair sizable amount of downloads and I get, some money back through that. I have, the PRS here in the UK, which is a musical body that, tracks your where your music is being used, and they help you to get some money back as well. So I am registered with them, and so they help me to get some money back. And my distributor, the distributing sites that I use to distribute my music, they also do some publishing as well, music publishing, and they also help with tracking and getting some money back for me. So I market my music, I advertise a lot. So yes, so I get a lot of downloads that gives me a fair amount back, which I put back into the music as well.
Interesting. I'm also interested in the general space. Maybe I should ask you this way. In your opinion and from your experience, I don't know how far back you've gone professional, even though you released your debut in 2016. How different is it to be a gospel music minister or entrepreneur, if I dare say, in Britain compared to Nigeria?
I started my music ministry in UK, so I can't say much, but I do observe the scene in Nigeria as well as here. But I think in Britain, as opposed to Nigeria, I think the ministry is a lot more is better received. May I say, put it that way. In Nigeria, we're coming up a lot in the UK. There's a lot of awareness that we're building, and we're really gaining a good amount of ground. However, I feel the atmosphere in Nigeria is more receptive really to religious things than here in the UK, for reasons best known here to God. So yes, it's a bit more difficult to break into the mainstream as an artist in the
Perhaps
UK.
that may also speak to the messaging, because there are those who believe that a product will sell itself if it resonates quite significantly. So if we are to put Tosin Oyelaki as an artist in a docket, what would be the USP that her message is selling, that people need to be drawn to?
It is the love of Christ. And, people are naturally drawn to love, where they feel loved, where they can, people can pick things. They can pick when this person is generally doing this out of love or out of selfish reasons. So it's about the what you have in you and that what is coming through to your music. Because what you have in you will definitely spill over into what you're doing, especially when you're in the ministry. So it's about having the love of Christ, which is what I am selling, the love of Jesus to the world. And that is what, my ministry is based on, sharing the love of Christ. So I believe, people will generally be drawn to that, where you are showing a lot of love and you're selling it.
But love cannot be cannot be packaged, so to speak. It cannot be put in a bottle or something. It's kind of a message that we're selling that, you know, there are those who would say it's a loveless world already. How do you even preach love to those who are incapable of loving people themselves? How do you give love to those who are quote-unquote unlovable? How does that message get across? Sometimes you're trying to give love, but you are receiving the very thing you are trying to take away from people, from the people to whom you are giving. Like the example of Jesus, who was killed for showing love.
I'm not going to lie to you to tell you that that is easy. It's not easily done. And you get to a level in your Christian walk, especially where you're striving to become more and more like Christ. Because when we make Jesus our, standard in life, where when he was being killed, he was being beaten, people were, ridiculing his ministry, saying all sorts about him that weren't true. All he did was love them back in return, show them love, say the truth in love as well. So it's not a case of you have done me evil, I'm not going to love you as a result. It's a case of, learning, because that's why our Christian walk is a journey. It's a journey to becoming more and more like Jesus in the way he loves, in his compassionate ways. So we learn it, and that is what we are called to do. And that's what shows you that you're actually serious about this Christianity. Otherwise, you're just going to be like every other person who is vengeful, who, wants to show love only when I'm loved. But what we have been called to is, even when the world is hating on you, when they're saying bad things about you, when they are not receptive of what you are given, you still love in return. You still do what you need to do. Protect yourself, obviously, in any way that you can, but do not repay evil for evil.
Yeah, what kinds of things do you say to your audience when you give your weekly and your daily words of wisdom?
So I base my weekly and daily words of wisdom on the scriptures. So it's anything that comes to mind to discuss or to talk about. So for the daily words of wisdom, I just take a verse, mainly a verse of the scripture. I meditate on it, and whatever comes to me around that verse, I write as a devotional, and I put it out there. The weekly words of wisdom, they are more around teaching-based, sessions, about 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes on the radio. And I just, different scriptures, put them together, whatever I feel inspired to talk about, I do.
And your work on Brightside TV, what kind of teaching program do you have on that platform?
Yeah, that's about a half an hour TV sessions that I, just teach as well. I only just started that in December 2023. So I've only had 3 sessions on there so far, because it's a monthly teaching program. So I talked about, in December, I talked about coming into the new year, preparing for the new year, setting your goals and sort of just, going with God. And then I talked about amazing grace, what makes grace so amazing, and also feeling purpose and living your purpose. So I just generally teach as I feel, inspired to.
You have 2 television programs, and you have 2 radio programs and 1 TV program.
No, 1 radio program, 1 TV program, and my daily devotionals that I write, yes.
So what time do you have to be a physiotherapist?
Good question. I try to juggle these things. I obviously, I work long hours as a physiotherapist as well. My kids are very helpful. They would sort of, my older daughter would sort of help with dinner sometimes, because I would get, recipe-based meals that are already made to measure. And, at 17, that's how I'm helping her to learn cooking as well. My son also is very good, thank God. I have lovely children who would do, who are they would do what they need to do at the right time. So that takes a lot of pressure off me. And also evenings, when I get home in the evenings, I try to take time out after resting for a few minutes just to do my writing and do what I can do to build up on the ministry and plan what I need to do. So I have a weekly radio radio program, which is just about 10 minutes long, 10-15 minutes. So it's not that long that I have to prepare for. But the monthly one is what takes a bit of time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just before we go, you released a single 2 days ago.
Yes.
Is it too soon to ask what we're expecting next? Since you're still gathering your thoughts from releasing this one.
Yes, I plan on releasing a few more singles after this one, by the grace of God. So yes, please watch this space.
Watch this space. Okay. Tosin Oyelaki, a UK-based British Nigerian, multiple award-winning gospel singer, songwriter, and worship leader. Thank you very much for coming on Sunrise this morning. We wish you all the best, and we hope that we will see something new from you soon.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate you having me here.
So that rounds up Sunrise for this day, our last Sunrise for the month of March. We'll bring you a fresh one next month. I'm Akeredolu, wishing you a very happy Easter indeed, and Nigeria is our country, and it's the only one we have. See you next week.
So in your fasting and praying, please fast and pray for Nigeria. It's very important. It's all we have. Happy Easter. Have a wonderful rest of your week.
Bye.
How does double digits affect your purchasing power? What about ballooning debts profile and scarce FX? How's that affecting your business?
The federal government is turning to the money market to fund these deficits. Are yields contracting or expanding? Is this a good buy for you?
Inflation drives MPC decisions and affects sentiment at the equities market. What is happening to your investment?
Or would you rather go digital? We track all the volatility in the crypto market.
Get the answers from the business team every weekday at 1 p.m. on Business Incorporated, only on Channels Television.